Hi everybody, this review is on From Dusk Till Dawn. So the plot of this movie is that these two brothers called the Gecko brothers, played by George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, are bank robbers, and during a recent incident they went to a liquor store and they killed a store clerk and a Texas Ranger, and so they're fugitives from the law, so they go on the run and they run into a family called the Fullers, and they take them as hostages and force them to drive them all the way across the border to Mexico. So they once they land in Mexico, they feel they're free, but then they see that a vampire outbreak has occurred. Like there's a whole plague of lots of people turning into vampires, and so Seth and Richie try to use their ways to debate if they should stop all the vampires and save people despite them being pretty bad people, or they try to figure out if they should just run and try to save themselves. This is the pure definition of a dumb fun movie. This movie is really cheesy. It's really cheesy, but that's the point. It's supposed to be a good throwback to B movies. It's supposed to be like a blockbuster attempt at a B movie, but that's really what makes it good, cuz I guess you could argue Robert Rodriguez is kind of like a blockbuster B movie type of person, cuz his movies do mostly tend to be really low budget aside from Alita Battle Angel, and lots of them feel like really corny, and like yeah, this movie is really corny, but that's actually what makes it a lot of fun, because this does feel like a B movie. Like this really feels like a corny horror movie that would have come out in like the 50s or something, cuz it's flat out a monster movie. It's a vampire movie, and vampire movies do usually, let's be real, objectively most vampire movies are just dumb, mindless fun. Like none of them are really artsy and intellectual. They're just kind of like fun monster movies you just turn your brain off to watch. And but even then, is this movie objectively good? Honestly, yeah, from an artistic standpoint, I think it's directed very well, and the cinematography is very, mind you, it's Robert Rodriguez. He knows what he's doing, because I think he's I think Robert Rodriguez, I know most that's the case with some of his movies. I know he's the cinematographer for a fair amount of his movies. I'm not sure if it was this was one of them, but either way, like the movie has a really good look to it, because Robert Rodriguez, his movies always, well, typically they involve like Mexican type settings and atmosphere, and the whole the whole idea of this movie taking place in Mexico was really added to that Robert Rodriguez style, because Mexico, it looks flat out amazing in this movie. I mean, yeah, it does like look a little kind of supernatural and quirky and like very, B movie monsters. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, even though it is a pretty small budget film, like the set pieces are really good, even though yeah, for a good chunk of the movie you do see the brothers driving with the Fuller family, and most of the time they're in this like RV and they're just driving around, and most of the conflict comes around between how the two brothers feel about the family, and the two brothers, the dynamic between them I think is really good when the movie doesn't have all the vampire horror action. I think the performances of George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino really steal the show. George Clooney's like he's the typical George Clooney character, like the suave kind of charming, likable type guy, even though, yeah, he does play a criminal and he's not a very nice guy in this film, but you can still see a bit of humanity in him, because he does interact with the family sometimes, and sometimes he just wants to be a little level head when he can. But Richie, on the other hand, played by Quentin Tarantino, is very good in this movie. I mean, I'm not really familiar with him as a director. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm not familiar. I definitely know who he is. I just haven't seen much of his work aside from Planet. No, he didn't. What was it? Death Proof. Death Proof. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he did direct one scene in Sin City. So I guess there's that. But he did write this movie, so I'm pretty sure that also qualifies of how why he why his performance really works in this, because he's performing his own material, and I think he plays an unhinged villain really well. And yeah, George Clooney, he's not that likable either, but you can see there's like some instances where he's trying to be a little sensible. But Quentin Tarantino, like he like argues with the family a lot, like especially like he's even with the Fuller family's son even a lot of the time, and they kind of really has a creepy vibe to him, and all the vampire stuff. The effects are awful in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, the effects in this movie are really bad. I mean, then again, if you look at his kids' films, you can tell that Robert Rodriguez's low budget movies aren't exactly great. Other than Alita, most of his movies don't look great. Well, Sin City looked flat out amazing, but there wasn't like a lot of CGI in that movie. But even that, I think the bad effects really add to the whole stupid campy B movie type feel this movie has, because like when you see like all the creatures and vampires with the big eyes, like it looked like the CGI is really bad. I mean, mind you, I know this movie came out in 1996, but still I think that adds to the whole B movie factor too. And yes, everybody always talks about this, I don't know why, but everyone always knows Salma Hayek is in this movie, which she is in a lot of Robert Rodriguez's movies. I totally get that. And but you know the funny thing is, everybody always talks about the scene where like she has like a snake around her and she does a sexy dance. That's the only scene she's in this whole movie. I know that's not really a spoiler. It doesn't really affect the plot. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to see this movie purely for Salma Hayek, which I mean, that's would be kind of weird, but at the same time, I wouldn't really blame you. You'll be disappointed because everything you've seen of her about this movie, that's all she appears in. It's like literally just a cameo. But Salma Hayek's always a plus in every movie she's in, so I can't say I have a problem with it. And yeah, all the vampire stuff, like it's good vampire fun of like all the shooting and the kill. I mean, most of the most of the action's kind of mostly like when they get to the vampire stuff, like when they start off as just criminals and they're just invading the family and they just start a shootout. Like there's like a bit of action, but it doesn't really get to the action until like they're in Mexico and they uh encounter all the vampires. And even then, like, yeah, there is definitely some good vampire blood type action. It's definitely really action packed. It's definitely more action oriented in terms of horror than Sinners, because although Sinners is definitely a better movie than this, I think Sinners was definitely better made. I think it had stronger characters and performances, but this movie is still fun. I think if you just like the action, vampires biting, all that stuff, and you don't really want the suspense and you just want to get into the horror action, this one's good. I If you're looking for a scary movie though, I don't know if this will do it for you, because it's pretty corny. Like it's really corny. Like the effects are really bad, are really terrible. Lots of the acting. I mean, the acting is really good, but it's kind of that funny, you know, it's kind of that funny black comedy type acting, particularly with the two leads, and it's mostly just like a dumb fun B movie. It's pretty much what you expect from early Robert Rodriguez, although he doesn't do that much stuff anymore. I mean, yeah, not that much stuff anymore because, you know, like I said, most of his movies are kind of corny aside from Alita, or I guess even Sin City wasn't really that hokey. I mean, it was stylized, but it wasn't ridiculous. This movie is flat out ridiculous, though, but not to the point where you can't take it seriously, because it's got really strong performances and the plot is actually really fun. It's very fast paced. Like, yeah, the stuff like with the two brothers in the family, like even though you wouldn't think that's the most interesting thing and you just want to see the horror vampire stuff, it's still interesting to see the contrasting personalities of how the two brothers interact with the family. And it goes to show that George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, I don't know if they've ever worked on anything else together, but I think they should, because I know Tarantino doesn't act a lot; he more so directs. But I think they should do another film together. I think they work really well with each other. I mean, I don't want I wouldn't want every project they're in to be exactly like their character dynamic in this, but I still think it works. It's a really fun B movie type film, and if you love vampires, this is a must watch. It's really fun. It's definitely feels like a good throwback to old school monster movies, and I just love it for that. And if you're a Robert Rodriguez fan, definitely check this out. It's definitely uh, some of his prime. It's definitely one of his top tier works. It goes to show how he can make something stupid and low budget somehow pretty cool. So that's my review of From Dusk Till Dawn. So yeah, take care, guys.